I'm so, so deeply honored to have a very important goddess here today, here with me right now, Joanna Lindenbaum. She's a transformational practitioner and she teaches an incredible mastery program called Sacred Depths. I myself am enrolled in the training right now, and it is such high level, high value, true and lasting transformational work. Joanna has been working with women in women's circles before anyone even knew what a women's circle was. Like, she's been doing this work for a really long time. And my dear, dear friend Jasmine told me that I had to do this training. And so I looked into Joanna's training. And what really got me, well, several things, but was her love and passion for ritual, ceremony, and for diving deep into the shadow and for going deep. And I love going deep. So I was like, okay, I'm so in. This is so me. And so I wanted to also read a few things from her website that just really like spoke to my heart. She says, your business is your temple. And I love that so much, Joanna. And she says, I believe with every fiber of my being that the coaching, healing, consulting, and transformational industries have the power to change the world in massive ways. And I have to say, with working with Joanna, it has taken all of my work with my one-on-one clients and my group work to a whole other level. So I'm so happy that you're here today, Joanna.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely had to have you part of the summit. So, the other piece of me doing this work with Joanna and diving deep into who I am awakened my priestess. So, my awakening of my priestess within was from doing this really deep dive and soulful work with Joanna. So, thank you, Joanna. And so, the first question I have for you today is, what does the goddess mean to you?
I love that question. It's so rich. So, for me, the goddess is two things in one. One is just the all-loving, all nurturing, all nourishing mother energy, great mother energy. So many of us, whether we've had incredible mothers, like actual mothers in our lives, or not so great actual mothers in our lives, no matter what the spectrum is, all of us, I believe, at least for me, is like there's a deep longing to merge with this archetype and this energy of the mother, the one who just is just always there to nurture you, always there to support, always there to wrap her big loving arms around you and let you know that it's okay. So that's number one for me. The goddess is always there for me when I need to be loved up, when I need to be reminded of who I really am, and how valuable and worthy I really am, when I need to be reminded that all is going to be okay. So that's the biggie. And then the second piece with that is, to me, it's like she's all around as well as inside of me.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. And what does the priestess mean to you?
Mm. So the priestess is the one who has, I mean, we all have direct connection to the goddess, but she's the one in the temple, right? So the temple can be in our lives, in our homes, in our businesses, whatever it is. She's the one who is in the temple, who has this direct connection and who can channel the energy of the goddess for herself and then for others, to create, more good and more impact, whether it's through ceremony and ritual and in the ways that we think of it, with fire or sage, or whether it's the rituals in the kitchen of cooking. It's like channeling that energy and then bringing it to everybody who needs it.
Yeah, yeah. I've really enjoyed working with you on so many levels, but I love how you bring that goddess, priestess, kind of witchy medicine woman energy into the kitchen, like cooking, cleaning, like the modern day, practicality.
Right. There is sacred in the mundane. All we have to do is look around us. The sacred isn't just for high ceremony. We're meant to feel that connection with the goddess, with spirit, with the sacred in any moment that we want to pick it up.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. It's definitely brought a whole new layer to cooking for my family. I'm like stirring the cauldron, serving up the magical sustenance. Yeah. And so my next question is, what does the redemption of the feminine spirit mean to you?
Well, that's been a long time coming, and it is, we have, and I'm sure, this is a topic that others that you've spoken to on the summit have spoken about too. But, we have really in our culture over the last decades have moved so far to the masculine. We've moved so far to just focusing on productivity, focusing on how to get more, how to be better, how to do more, and honestly, focusing on a lot of greed. And the masculine is amazing. We need the masculine to get things done, to focus, all of that. But what has really kind of fallen away is this just being, this knowing that we are inherently worthy just because, not because we're producing. To me, the feminine is also caring for community, not just putting ourselves first, understanding that we have to nourish and nurture ourselves, and then from that energy we get to nurture and nourish others.
Yeah, yeah, great. Thank you so much. And in your work, you talk a lot about how important it is for lasting and true transformation. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about that because I know you're really passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for asking. So especially these days, anyone who's tuned in to the transformational industry, the coaching industry, the spiritual, there's a spiritual industry, all of that, it's all wonderful things. But what happens is this idea of transformation, this word transformation gets thrown around a lot. But what people don't realize, and this is so important when I train practitioners, that you understand the distinction, is that there's a difference between a breakthrough and a transformation. What is mostly happening right now are breakthroughs, which are new awarenesses, new cognitive awarenesses, new ideas coming forward, maybe new visions or new plans. And we want breakthroughs. We absolutely, we need breakthroughs. But what's happening is that a lot of practitioners are stopping at the breakthrough. And a breakthrough is different than transformation, which is real and long-lasting and sustained change. So as practitioners and human beings, we want to go for those new awarenesses, for those breakthroughs, but we need to also learn the skills to bring the new awareness into real long-lasting change.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. And how does transformation and leadership, like, what does that look like to you?
Oh, that's a big question. I'll say a couple of things on that. So first of all, integrity, like that's the first piece when you ask that question. If we are going to call ourselves leaders, we also need to commit to integrity. And of course, I believe in the goodness of all people, like we're good people. And we assume when we are coaching, when we're priestessing, when we're leading ceremony, when we're healing, we just naturally assume that we're in integrity, if we're a good person. But the truth is, to be a real leader, that's not enough. Even as practitioners, we have so many blind spots. We have our own shadows, we have our own triggers, and also there are certain integrity practices that need to be learned. As practitioners, we don't know them inherently, like how to keep a client safe when we're doing very deep work, right? So one of my kind of, like my missions is to not only support practitioners to go deep and do the transformational work, but to do it with integrity, both through that inner work of looking at your own shadows, your own triggers, your own fears, as well as those learned skills that we need.
Yeah, I love that. I've definitely experienced that from your work so far. There is a reason why a blind spot's called a blind spot, right? Yeah.
Exactly. We don't know what we don't know. And in order to really be able to go deep with our clients and with our groups and with our circles, we need to be made aware of those blind spots.
Yeah. So before working with you and, also Anna Dea and Lion, I was this like spiritual sovereign, warrior woman that didn't need anyone, and I'm enough and I know everything within because I am wise. All I need to do is connect in with the universe. But what I've realized in working with you and working with other teachers and masters is that I've been able to see things that I just couldn't see before. And it's been really interesting. And so I wanted to ask you about, like, how does that spiritual sovereignty of, being a trailblazer, being a mover and a shaker, being independent, and then how does that work with then working with other people? Because it's been such a big shift for me.
Yeah, I love that question. So I think all true, like transformational leaders strike this really beautiful balance between sovereignty and humility. Sometimes we may think that to be sovereign means that we don't have our own shadows, we don't have our own gaps, we have no, like we know everything that we need to learn, that we need to know. But what I've actually really found is that the more I own my brilliance and the more sovereign I become, the more I also realize that I don't know everything. I don't need to know everything. And there's so much more for me to learn. And then how that translates with clients, it actually translates beautifully. And it's so powerful because when we can strike that balance between the two, the sovereignty and the humility, when we hold space for clients, then we're holding really powerful space that they feel so safe in. But also we then, because we have that humility, we're giving our clients agency. We're empowering them to find their own answers. We understand that we may reflect things, but what we reflect or what we're seeing may not actually be true for the clients. And in doing that, we give them back their own agency, which no matter what we're working on with clients, whether it's relationships or building their business or abundance, whatever the different healing, physical healing, there's always another layer of work that's going on. And that's really to correct old patterns and old family dynamics and old relationship dynamics. And when we can hold that space of sovereign and humility at the same time, it supports our clients to heal from those that took power over them, from those that, maybe they didn't feel safe with because, that maybe the parent wasn't trustworthy. So we get to be that trustworthy sovereign, as well as that empowerment provider of the space for that.
I love that so much, because you hear the ancient sages say, everything is within you. You know everything. You don't need other people. And then I'm like trying to access all that inner wisdom. And actually, I really have found it very valuable to access that inner wisdom, but then also learn from other teachers.
I mean, I have taught thousands, but I also seek out teachers myself.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I think that's one of the things that makes me such a good practitioner and such a good trainer of practitioners, because I know that, like, till the day I die, I am on a learning journey. And that doesn't have to detract from me owning all of my wisdom as well.
Yeah. Is it Socrates that says the more I know, the less I know? I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. I often feel that way. I'm like, I know more, but then I know less. It's like, wow. And it's more fun, isn't it? There's like a space that opens up.
100%. I'm always, encouraging practitioners to be on their edge, like not to fall back on the comfortable skills or the comfortable wisdom. Of course, we want to use all of that, but it actually makes it so much more satisfying as a practitioner to be in your stretch places when you're with your clients and to be in your edge. It's more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so my next question is, what does the awakening mean to you?
Mm. Well, I hope that we are in the middle of the awakening, or an awakening right now, and I'll just put it in the context of 2020. It's been obviously such a year. And also, my hope is through all of the pain and the tragedy and the grief that um, all of that has also sparked deeper awareness and desire to, as a community, as a global community, to create change, when it comes to how we care for the mother, for the earth. She needs us desperately. When it comes to how we care for those of us that aren't as privileged as us, no matter what privileges we have, to care for other human beings, to come at all of it with generosity and kindness.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. You definitely, that comes through your teaching so eloquently. I really enjoyed those aspects. Well, all of the aspects, actually. Um, and so you have offered such a beautiful, beautiful gift for everyone that signs up for the All Access Pass. I'm super excited about it because working with Shadow is part of the reason why I signed up for the training. I was like, oh, wow, she works with ritual, ceremony, and Shadow. I am so there. So could you explain a little bit about that offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that doesn't know what shadow is, the way I teach shadow is from a Jungian perspective. And, real quick, like the shadow are our blind spots. We've been talking about blind spots in this conversation. It's the parts of ourselves that we ignore, have disenfranchised, have decided are, not good. And and when we do that, we separate ourselves from ourselves. It's like chopping off limbs, and then we don't have all of the energy and resource that we need in our life to get things done. And so a lot of times, even just as individuals, but as practitioners, we'll come against client shadows and it's like overwhelming and we don't know how to handle it. And the client just keeps on self-sabotaging. are getting stuck in fear. And so this workbook is an introduction to what the shadow is and some first steps in how to work with shadow, whether it's inside of yourself or with your clients.
Great. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Joanna. That's such a treat. Yeah. Yeah. And so my last and final question is if you could say one thing to humanity during these very auspicious times, what would it be?
I need to think on that for a moment. It's a big question.
That's my surprise question for everyone.
Um, what's coming through in this moment, which is a truth that I know, but also a truth that I need to continuously learn and come back to for myself, is love yourself more and love others more.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so true, isn't it? Yeah. And I love that you said that because, the summit is coming out a week before Valentine's Day. Yeah, so it's a week of self-love and really coming into that heart space. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the lessons of, all of our lives is to how can we love ourselves unconditionally and then love others unconditionally.
And one step deeper is the shadow, right?
Right.
Our
Love
shadow.
all the parts, all the parts, even the ones that seem ugly or unsavory.
Yeah. Imagine this world if we could all do that. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you so much for being with us today. Absolute blessing and treasure. Thank you.
Oh, it is so my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to love your shadow. All the parts.